Hi all, Marky here with the Exiles. Now, is your hard enough? So I'm travelling, as always, at the moment, but I'm overlooking the beautiful Tagus River and the city of Lisbon, and I'm feeling inspired, and obviously I want to carry on with the content of our channel. And actually, not that you care as martial artists particularly, but it is a very nice view. But it's a great place to do a video nevertheless. So in this video, we're going to talk about pressure testing and what that means when we say, as Exiles, when we say pressure testing. So we use the phrase a lot, and in simple terms, what it means is you learn a technique, a sequence of techniques, a series of actions, a principle, and you learn it in isolation. And you learn it slowly and correctly and basically. And then what you do is you start to take up the speed and power. You keep it realistic, but you can do it as part of a drill or in isolation. But the main thing is that you're taking your actions to a place where you're starting to apply them under more and more pressure. What happens when you do this? So when you're doing an action realistically, which certainly for a lot of systems is kind of the point, you're doing it in such a way that someone is actually trying to hit you, okay? Your body gets used to the dynamic of applying its action, its technique, its principle, or a series of actions, etc., under pressure. Because when the heat is turned up, things change, okay? Things like structure and footwork and, a good cover, an incrusada, you'll start to potentially find little flaws in your technique and the way that you do things when you start to turn the heat up. And importantly, you're also making the action sort of reactive in its intended environment, okay? So you're getting used to applying the technique under physical and mental pressure, so that it becomes less of a thought process. When your body sees the opportunity to do an action, it recognizes that opportunity and can perform the action, hopefully well. But if it doesn't perform it well, because it's been pressure tested and different outcomes from that action have been pressure tested, your body's also much better at reacting to things when it goes wrong. Okay, so ultimately to pressure test, you keep pushing. You want to generally conduct all of your movement, your technique, your action under pressure. Not always, but you want to ultimately get there. Now, in the context of this video, is your hard enough? I suppose a major risk, depending on your approach to martial arts, is that people train in a way that they think is hard, okay? But really it's not, okay? And everybody, it's a subjective thing, everybody has to judge for themselves, but if you're not going hard and you're not having high intensity, high power, difficult, complex, reactive situations for the brain to apply your art in, it can give a very massive false sense of reality. In the case of Fiore, for example, a lot of what we see in the manuscripts, a lot of those actions are designed to work under pressure. Okay, if you take the 7th play of the first dagger remedy of seventh play of the first master dagger, or the villain strike from the two-handed, or the 5th play of Abritsari as just a few examples. These types of plays, these types of techniques really rely on there being a lot of pressure in that situation to work well. Okay, now I'll show you a simple video and I'll basically break it into two halves. So the first half, the attacks in this video are what many people would consider to be hard attacks, okay? In the training hall, hard attacks, okay? So here's the video now.
Ow, sorry.
So seems fine, nice and firm. Again, what most people would consider to be good hard actions, hard attacks, decent covers, etc. Looks okay. Yeah, fine, great, perfect. However, now I'll show you the second part of that video where the intensity is taken up. It's still realistic, it's still safe for the training environment, but the intensity is taken up and then things will start to fail. So here's the second part.
Right, now I'm really going to stab it.
So the second set of attacks were more realistic, as I say, still safe for the training hall. They're not suicidally powerful. They're not totally outside the realms of reality. They have intent, accuracy, power. This is pressure testing. This is pressure testing a technique in isolation. Obviously, you can apply the pressure testing principle to, as I say, a series of actions, or just, doing a lot of sparring and trying to get your brain used to working in dynamic and unpredictable situations. Anything with high intensity, where you're being true to your art and the techniques within it, is pressure testing. And we're doing our training partner a service in the second type of training, because we're not luring them into a false sense of security. Any issues, any flaws in their technique, their footwork, their cover, their skeletal strength, their tempo, their distance, their timing, any little flaws will start to come out when the pressure's turned up, which ultimately means that they're going to be improving, okay? Because they're going to be trying to improve the accuracy and the success rate of just something as basic, in this case, as a cover. Now, pressure testing, again, is a phrase we use a lot. It isn't a thing as such. It's not like we get together every month and go, right, this lesson is going to be just pressure testing. It doesn't really work like that. It's a descriptive term for a mindset in training, an approach to training, okay? So Fiore, and of course I'm biased, but it's a very elegant and beautiful system. So when we say pressure testing, it's not always about going hell for leather either. To take this a little deeper, I suppose, you pressure test physically and you pressure test mentally as well. Both are obviously key. Now, to be effective in an environment, you have to first be comfortable with that environment, okay? And with a system like Fiore, softy has a place, especially when you're learning an action for the first time or starting to develop an action or series of actions. But ultimately, it's not going to cut it without taking things up a level. Not if you're trying to learn a proper martial art and the application of that martial art. Now, pressure testing also means that how we practice is academically scrutinized as well. Does it fit with the manuscript? Does it fit with the system? Are the feet in the right place? Are the angles correct for weapons work? Are the arms right? Is the incruciator in the right place? And so on and so forth. Do other groups have a different view? Do they do something that we haven't thought of? We share, we collaborate, we send colleagues videos. Hey, what do you think about the way we do this? We get together, etc., etc. So pressure testing isn't just about the action. It's also about academic scrutiny of how we conduct our training, how we develop our students, etc., etc. This is all pressure testing. Finally, when we say pressure testing, we also mean that the things that we do, specifically talking about us, when we say pressure testing, because we are quite a big group and we have a lot of students, we're also constantly putting how we do things under pressure, simply because of the amount of people that do our art in our clubs, okay? If we have a consistent challenge with a collection of students applying a technique or an action or a principle or something from our curriculum, then there might be an issue with it. And because we are quite a close-knit group of instructors, we're always talking about, hey, do you guys have trouble learning this or applying that? Which means we go away and we look at it. Not just the actions, but also how we teach them as well. So we're constantly reviewing the effectiveness of what we do. And that, again, is also an element of pressure testing. So just to summarize, and going back to this on a smaller level, a technique level, an action level, as long as you can apply the action or principle according to the manuscript, as long as the action is safe, as long as it has the intended effect or the subsequent follow-up actions, as long as it follows, in this case, Fiore's principles, then it's definitely worth having an element of pressure testing in class all the time, every time, because that's getting closer to the intended use of the system. And that's pressure testing in summary. Thanks.